Hello friends and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Joycey Joy and today we will be discussing about the telecom industry crisis and we will see what is the present issue in the telecom industry and what are the reasons for the issues in the telecom industries, and we will also see what should be done or what is the role of the government in helping the telecom industries in this regard. Also we will see some of the other issues apart from the present issue in the telecom industry. So these are the topics that we will discuss today. Also towards the end of this lecture we will discuss a mains model question. So let us begin with the current affair. So let us see what is the current affair. So the current affair is that two important players, two leading telecom players in India, one is the Bharati Airtel and the second one is Vodafone Idea. Vodafone Idea had merged last year to form one telecom industry. So it is Vodafone Idea. So both these leading and important players in the telecom industry, they have reported historic losses. So these private entities or these private telecom players, they have recorded losses in their balance sheet. Now in the second quarter, that is the Q2 of the fiscal year 2019-20, Vodafone Idea, they declared a loss of 50,992 crore, whereas the Airtel, the Bharati Airtel, it has recorded a 22,830 crore rupees loss. So this is the account of the loss as recorded by Vodafone Idea and the Airtel in India. So this is the current affair. Now let us see what is the reason for the loss made by both these telecom entities. So first one, the losses were due to the adverse verdict given by the Supreme Court for this telecom industries. So what was this verdict all about? The Supreme Court verdict, this was given on a case of these telecom companies with that of Government of India on the definition of aggregate gross revenue. So the Supreme Court, in this case, the Supreme Court gave a verdict that is against the telecom companies, and these two companies said that their very existence itself is a concern for them. So their very existence itself is in doubt. And they also stated that if the government does not offer them relief on the demand to pay arrears, this arrears refers to the arrears of revenue share along with interest and penalty. So arrears of these telecom companies to the government is almost estimated at 80,000 crore. So these telecom companies has warned that if the government does not give them any relaxation or any relief on the demand of the government to pay the revenue arrears, the arrears of the revenue share, then definitely these companies are going to face a huge crisis and their existence itself would be a question. And Vodafone has also said in this regard that Vodafone will be left with no other option but to leave India. So this is the present situation. So we can say that the primary reason for this loss is because of the adverse verdict of the Supreme Court. So here the case between government and telecom operators, the government was given a favorable judgment by the Supreme Court. So this judgment says that the telecom companies, the telecom entities, they have to pay all the arrears to the government, and it has also given a definition for the aggregate gross revenue which is favorable for the government. Now let us see whether there was a possibility that the sudden pressure had been avoided. So now we have seen the sudden trigger or the sudden pressure is because of the Supreme Court verdict. So was there any chance that this sudden pressure could have been avoided? So there is an answer for this. The answer is that if these companies, if these telecom companies, these entities, if they had provided for the liability in the balance sheet, so if they had provided for certain liabilities in their balance sheet, then this sudden pressure could have been avoided. And also the conservative accounting demands that the contingent liabilities needs to be provided for. So this sudden pressure or sudden trigger could have been avoided if these companies had made a provision in their balance sheet for the liability that could possibly come out of a adverse verdict from the Supreme Court. So these companies did not make a provision for this in the balance sheet, therefore this sudden trigger. Now let us see what is the role of the government. So what the government can do here. Now generally talking, the telecom industry, except for Reliance Jio, all other telecom operators are running on lows. And there is severe stress on their part, and it is very much crucial that the government give them a helping hand. So government have to step in, government have to do something in order to help these industries. This is for many reasons. First reason, if the government does not involve in this can further lead to a monopoly. So except for Reliance Jio, all other telecom operators are running on lows. And if government does not take any measure, the operators will stop operating in India and Reliance Jio could become a possible monopoly. Now, second one, telecom industry provides considerable revenue for the government. This is in the form of the share of their revenue to the government. This can be spectrum charges, operating charges, expenses, etc. So the government also has a commitment back to them to provide a level playing field for everyone. Now third one is from the consumer's angle or the customer's angle. So from the customer's perspective, why this is important? This is because when the number of operators in India or in any other economy increases, this will provide the customer services at the best price. The customers will have a wide range of choices to choose from, and also this will be provided to them at the best prices. So for the customers' welfare also, government have to step in. So that is why we can generally say that considering the present situation of the telecom industries, it is important for the government to step in. Now, what can the government do? The government is already undertaking certain measures. First one, a committee of secretaries, and this committee is headed by the Cabinet Secretary himself. The Cabinet Secretary of India at present is Rajiv Gauba. Very important current affair, very important general awareness. So this can be probably asked in your GA, general awareness section in various examination. So Rajiv Gauba, the present cabinet secretary. So a committee of secretaries which is headed by the cabinet secretary, it is already studying the ways in which the telecom industry can be bailed out. Now another important point I would like to highlight here is the situation of BSNL and MTNL. So these are public sector entities. So these are government owned and government run telecom companies. So this is also very important. They are also running at lows and government is planning to disinvest them. So I have prepared a different lecture on this. You can watch that lecture on our channel StudyIQ. I'm not going into the details of it. Just giving you a hint regarding the status of the government on telecom sector as well. So a committee of secretaries is already studying this issue. And second thing is that the telecom industry, this needs another set of reforms immediately. So reforms should include structural or long-term reforms as well. So now the demand of the hour is to undertake certain structural and long-term reforms to revive the telecom industry. Now talking about the revenue share of the government appropriates about 30% of the revenues of each player, each telecom industry through various levies and taxes. So almost 30% of the revenue share of these industries, of these companies are appropriated by the government under the head of various levies and taxes. So definitely the government need to revisit some policies that the government have framed earlier. Now another important one, a very important issue that needs to be sorted is the issue of addressing the validity of a license fee. So license fee is a kind of revenue share of the government. So government appropriates license fee as a revenue from these telecom companies. Now remember that license fee, the provision for license fee was set up when the spectrum was allocated and not auctioned. So this happened at a time when spectrum was allocated by the government. So during that time, there was no auction of spectrum but allocation of spectrum. Now what is the situation? Now there is no allocation of spectrum but spectrum auctioning is taking place. So it is spectrum auction. So now what is important here is that the government is already collecting revenues from spectrum auction. So the telecom companies will have to give an auction fee to the government. So government is collecting spectrum auction revenue from the telecom industry or the players. So government is collecting fee. So in a situation where the government is collecting auction free from the telecom players, there is no scope for license fee. License fee was justified when spectrum was allocated by the government, not auction. So this needs to be changed. So this issue should be addressed immediately. So this will increase the revenue margins or the profit margins of the telecom players and bring down their losses. Another issue is with regard to the usage charges. So this is the issue of interconnect usage charges. The next one is regarding regulatory policies. You know that TRAI, the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, TRAI is the regulator of the telecom industry in India. So the government needs to look into the fairness of the regulatory policies and the approaches, and it should ensure that the regulatory policies are not biased. That is, the regulatory policies are not in favor of any one player. So this should be ensured by the government. Now, why this is important? Why the revival of telecom industry is important? We have already seen certain reasons. Now, most importantly, why it is important is because telecom industry is crucial for India's growth and development. Also, we are going through an age of digitalization. So, during a phase of digitalization or during an era of digitalization, telecom industry plays a vital role. So, considering the long-term targets and goals and motives of the government, it is very important. So what the government should do? The government should undertake long-term measures or structural reforms in this sector, not short-term measures. So this should be the focus of the government. Now, let us come to a mains model question. The question is, what are the challenges facing Indian telecom sector? Discuss. Also suggest what needs to be done to overcome these challenges. So here the key term is discuss. So you have to discuss about the challenges that the Indian telecom sector is facing at present, and you also have to suggest the ways and means by which the issues and challenges can be overcome. So first you can start with an introduction, and in the introduction you can mention about the current scenario. You can even give the recent examples of the loss that is registered by major players like Idea, Vodafone and the Bharati Airtel. So these situations can be discussed, and you can mention about the current scenario. Now, coming to the body of the answer. Coming to the body, in the first paragraph, you can mention about the challenges in the telecom industry. What are the problems in the bottlenecks in the telecom industry? Second one, most important, you should mention about the initiatives taken. So whenever a question is asked on the challenges or the problems that are existing, you should not forget to give one paragraph about the initiatives taken by the government. Why this is important is because what needs to be analyzed is whether government has taken these initiatives, some initiatives. That means whether government has noticed this issue and taken certain steps. And most importantly, you should analyze whether the initiatives taken by the government is effective or not. This is very important, especially for UPSC Mains exam. This is because as an aspiring bureaucrat, you are going to become a part of the policy making of the government. So you need to analyze what are the initiatives taken by the government and what are the drawbacks in these initiatives, or what are the bottlenecks or challenges in these initiatives, and what is the status and effectiveness or the efficiency of these initiatives. So very important. So in the body, in the second paragraph, you can mention about government initiatives. You can also here mention about the role of TRAI. So very important. Third paragraph, in the body of your answer, you should suggest certain solutions, what can be done. So this can include your own suggestions, or you can even quote the suggestions given by various committees or various commissions or expert panels appointed by the government or the regulators. So all these suggestions you can mention. Now third, coming to the conclusion of your answer. The conclusion should definitely be optimistic, positive and also balanced. So this should be very clear. So you should give a balancing conclusion. Should not be biased or in favor of anyone. It should not be in extreme criticism of anything or anyone. So it should be fair and balanced. Also very positive. So reading the conclusion, one should feel very optimistic that this issue can be resolved. So you should give a very positive conclusion, a very optimistic conclusion. So here you can mention what is the way ahead. So here you can suggest about long-term measures and structural reforms, how government should focus on them to improve the situation. So this can be a possible structure for your answer. Please try to attempt this question and send me your answers to joycey.studyiq@gmail.com. Please follow my Facebook page for more video updates, and you can find the PDF of this lecture on our website www.studyiq.com. Thank you.